So I'm Kellyanne,
And I'm CL.
and today we're going to explore the gender norms across the globe and how they differ culturally. So the origin of gender defines gender as a performance of roles and ideas that surround masculine, feminine, and neutral traits. And we have a clip from a TED Talk that gives a pretty good definition of the differences between sex and gender.
Which is that gender is an often misunderstood term. So I'd like to run through a couple of definitions. Sex, biological fact, universal, largely unchanging. Gender, socially constructed, culturally based, varies by location, changing all the time. Now, gender helps to define our roles and our responsibilities in our families and our communities, our access to resources, our ability to make decisions, the power that we wield. And it's woven into our social fabric. But gender's not static.
Okay, gender norms vary from culture to culture, but our current view of the male and female binary, at least in the United States, comes from British colonialism, which was very important in their society. This dichotomy was spread throughout the world from British imperialism, which has led to the gender binary being seen as the norm.
What are the alternatives to the binary gender model? Well, in fact, outside of the West, many cultures and countries have a history that recognizes either gender fluidity or gender categories that exist beyond the binary. Prior to colonization, the Incas worshipped a dual-gendered god, whose attendants, the Kwari-Warmi, wore androgynous clothing and represented a third gender space. Among the Sakalavas of Madagascar, boys who were considered feminine in appearance were raised as girls and believed to have supernatural protection that prevented them from being harmed. In Hawaii, Kanaka Malawi indigenous societies had the Mahu, who could be aligned with any biological sex, but expressed a gender role that was in between masculine and feminine. And the Bernicia of Albania are women who have sworn a vow of chastity and dress as men, a tradition that dates back as far as the 1400s, although their numbers have dwindled dramatically in recent years.
So our first group we're going to talk about today are located in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. This is the Buji people. They have 5 gender categories. The first 2 are what we would traditionally know as male and female. The other 3 are a mix of trans and non-binary identities. Bisu, the 5th category, are very important to the people because they are priests meant to embody man, woman, mortal, and deity. Some of them are intersex, but not always, and some of them can appear androgynous. They are very important to their spirituality. They perform religious practices and rituals and keep their history.
So in northern Albania, as they mentioned in the video, there are the Bernicias. So these are women who have taken a lifelong vow of celibacy in order to live and work and socialize as a man in the villages of northern Albania. Some of them take these vows to avoid arranged marriages, to secure family heritage, because you can only do that if you are a man, and you can only own property if you are a man. And they also do it because it is a more viable way to live freely in northern Albanian society. The Bernicias were born out of the restrictive set of 15th century laws, known as the Kanun, that stated that a woman's life was worth half of a man's unless that she was celibate. This tradition is slowly dying, and there's estimated to be less than 30 Bernicias left. as Albania becomes more modernized.
The next group is located in Yorubaland, Nigeria. The Yoruba people don't order their society by gender, and instead, age is the social category. Their language doesn't differentiate very highly between genders. They do have words for sex, but their pronouns are not something that we would know as he or she. Instead, their pronouns depend on the eldest, who has seniority, who was born first. That was most important in their society. These traditions have been diminished from outside influence, but proving from their language, gender was not a really big a social category in their society until British colonialism.
So in Ecuador, they work off of a binary system, and there are some differences between men and women. So as far as school year estimates, it says that females will attend school until they are just over the age of 20 if they begin it at the age of 5. But males are only expected to attend school until they are 19 years old. And their gender norms and their society in general is very heavily influenced by the Roman Catholic Church. Women go by a set of values called the Marianismo, which accompany three ideas: motherhood, which is raising their sons to enter the workforce and training their daughters to work in the home; service to the family, which values women staying at home and taking care of the home life while the man goes out and works; and chastity, which is seen through women expected to stay loyal to their husbands, but the men are given the freedom to have relations with other women to seek power and societal status. So gender norms might feel very rigid and have always been embedded in our society, heavily embedded in our society, but it was not always this way. It's very static, and gender can be involved in spiritual practice as well.
As we've seen in the video, the Incan people had a non-binary deity that was seen as dual-gendered. And in the United States and other places around the world, the gender binary has become less strict over time, with the rise of transgender and non-binary acceptance. And in the future, gender could look like something very different than we know it now, which who knows what that could be. We just want to say thank you guys for joining us in our presentations, and let us know if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you.